So to all the Patreon members, I want to thank you guys for your support. Really means a lot to me. Tonight is going to be a little bit different. I don't really have anything to put up on the screen because I don't have my computer with me right now. I'm doing this live stream from my phone. All right. Because I'm out the country. I didn't bring my computer with me. I didn't bring my laptop with me. I'm traveling kind of minimalistic this time because I'm still focusing on just learning Spanish. Really been dialed in, studying the Spanish language for the past couple weeks. So I wanted to get rid of all distraction. I didn't bring my iPad. I didn't bring my laptop. I didn't bring my computer. So all day I just been jotting down notes, listening to the Spanish podcast, and just soaking it all in. All right. Out of 100 lessons, I'm on lesson 30 right now. It's getting a little bit more intense. I'm starting to make a little bit more mistakes, but that's good. We all gonna make mistakes when we learning a language. All right. But if you could please do me a favor, check out the links in the description box below. Link for the Patreon page in the description box below. I just uploaded a brand new video the other day. Check that out. I'm going to upload another video in a few hours after this. So please join the Patreon page. It only costs $5 to get access to all those videos I got on there. All right. And if you want to join the Did I say Facebook or Patreon? Join the Patreon page for all the videos, and then join the Facebook page to join the group, the Passport Bros group with other like-minded brothers in there. All right. Salute to Ozzy. Yes, good evening to you. Good evening. You're trying to wipe up a Panamanian chica. Well, I'll talk about that on a different day. All right. I'll talk about that on a different day. But right now, we're talking more about Taiwan. The topic is about Taiwan. All right. So since I'm on the phone, I'm on the road. I don't have anything to put up on the screen. So all you're going to pretty much hear right now is my voice and see the avatar on the screen. So I apologize. Bear with me. All right. I love talking about Taiwan because, I always tell guys like, hey, man, skip over some of those, get your emotions out the way and skip over some of those countries in Asia and go to Taiwan first. All right. I encourage everybody. It's cool to go to Japan afterwards. You know what I'm saying? It's cool to go to Thailand afterwards. It's cool to visit Thailand while you live in Taiwan, right? It's cool to visit other neighboring countries, Korea, Japan. But if you're starting off wanting to go to school or work, man, you have to go to Taiwan first, right? I would not steer you in the wrong direction. Many people make the mistake by going to places like Thailand and Vietnam in the beginning. Go there after you've gone to Taiwan, all right? Get your skill up first, learn the Chinese language, and then meet women at a university, all right? Now, we're going to talk more about Taiwan here, and the reason why I want to talk more about Taiwan because I feel like I left some information out, all right? I feel like I left a little bit of information out, and I just want to touch on it a little bit more. And I forgot how long I was doing the last live stream. I think it was about an hour. This video, I want to focus more on where to meet Taiwanese women. All right. You can meet Taiwanese women anywhere, but as far as from what I've seen living in Taiwan, I don't really see too many brothers with Taiwanese women. All right. And the brothers I did see with Taiwanese women, they met them at school. They met them while they was at university. All right, it's a the social dynamic in school is a little bit different than the social dynamic you experience when you go out into the street. All right, because when you're at school, you're meeting different types of Taiwanese women, right? You're meeting foreigners, but the women that are there that are Taiwanese, you're meeting the ones that party. You're meeting the ones that go to church. You're meeting the ones that are serious about family. You're meeting the ones that grew up going to language centers right after school, right after, elementary school. A bus would take them to the language center for the second half of the day. You're meeting women who, some parents are poor. You're meeting women, some parents didn't take them to language centers after school. They couldn't afford it. You're meeting women who, uh, they donate in their spare time. They volunteer in their spare time. Basically, what I'm trying to say is you're meeting women of all walks of life. All right. Whereas, like, when you go to some of these clubs, you only get the party girl. You only get one kind of girl, especially if she's a regular there. A lot of guys might not want that type of woman, right? Especially if you're looking for something serious. Some guys, they're looking for a woman that, is more homebody. This is why I say, hey, man, go to school. Hell, if you can, even go to a church. All right. And, as far as different cities to choose from, you don't have to pick Taipei. You don't have to pick Hsinchu. There's Taoyuan, there's Kaohsiung, there's another, what's that other city in the middle? There's Taipei, Taoyuan, Hsinchu, and then there's one underneath Hsinchu. I think it starts with a T. I think it's Taichung. And then there's Kaohsiung at the very bottom. And then you got women on the eastern, the east, I think it's called Hualien or whatever, on the eastern side of Taiwan, right? There's a guy who's becoming popular now on TikTok. His name is Gary Greenberg. He's a numerologist. I took a class with him over the phone back in 2012, years ago. All right, so now he's starting to become more popular. I really don't give two shits about him, but at the end of the day, when there's somebody that knows what it is that they're talking about, you got to give him credit regardless, right? This guy knows what he's talking about, when it comes to that, if you're interested in that. And I saw a video of him on TikTok the other day where he said that, certain countries people vibe with, right? Certain cities in certain countries people vibe with more than other people. And then he tried to tie it into numerology and astrology and say that, hey, man, let's say you were born in the year of the dragon, and then this country or this city right here was founded in the year of the dragon, then you're probably going to be a little bit more successful and have a better connection with this city, with this country, more so than other people whose enemy sign is a dragon that go there as well. All right. Like one of the homies on the channel, he said that, like he left Panama early because he didn't vibe with Panama that well. But I vibed with it just fine. So different strokes for different folks. So I thought that was interesting. So if you implement like astrology or numerology, if that's your thing, you could look up when a city or a country is founded, and then, within that country, you could pick the right city for you. All right. So maybe Taipei ain't the city for you. Maybe New Taipei City ain't the city for you, but Taoyuan is. Right. You could look up when cities are founded and see if your sign is friendly with when the year that city was founded, and maybe that'll help you, guide you, amongst your travels. So that's just a little thing I wanted to add right there. But other than that, man, like, you know, taking women out in Taiwan, right? I even got videos of certain women that I took out on this channel in Taiwan. There's so much to do, so many different, you could be creative when it comes to taking a woman out. All right. Y'all can go to a temple together. Just because they are Taiwanese don't mean that, like, they're born and raised there. They probably never been to some of those temples, in Taiwan, right? You can go fishing on your first date. You can go by the beach and watch people windsurf on the first date. The parks are very, very nice. There's been multiple dates I've been on in Taiwan, New Taipei City, where I would take somebody to a park. We meet at a park, and it's not some rinky-dink Mickey Mouse park. These are really nice parks in Taiwan, right? I've always talked about how Taiwan is a spot if you're into outdoor activities. So if you're into rowing, windsurfing, boating, fishing, jet skiing, camping, going to the park, you name it, rock climbing, Taiwan is the spot. All right. Taiwan is that spot. I mean, I've taken over half a dozen women to parks in Taiwan. Didn't have to spend any money. And the best time to take women to parks really is during or around Chinese New Year's, because they have a lot of different, like they build a lot of different structures, and they have different activities going on, to express, their the Chinese New Year's, to bring in the Chinese New Year's. They build up a lot of stuff at these parks, right? I still got pictures and videos during Chinese New Year's of me on a date with a Taiwanese woman, and we're enjoying being in the park when normally there's nothing there. But even around the time when it's not Chinese New Year's, it's still fun going to the park. There's still stuff going on in the parks. I remember one time, I didn't even know this was going on. We went to a park and there was like some sort of EDM concert on the other side of the park. And we went over there and checked it out. It was fun. It was totally unexpected. So when it comes to getting to know somebody, dating, Taiwanese women are very low maintenance, right? Well, any woman outside of America, it don't really take that much to impress them. All right, they just want to get to know you. You say park, that's just fine. You say McDonald's, that's just fine. You say, well, let's meet up over here at 7-Eleven, that's just fine. They want to get to know you. I even told you guys in the last live stream when I was showing the street view of Shinju, that one 7-Eleven, if you go back and check it out, I point out a specific 7-Eleven. I'm like, I had a date with a chick over here at this 7-Eleven. And then we ended up dating afterwards. Because in 7-Eleven, remember, they got 3-course meals. Like they have meals at the 24 hours, and they sell meals, packaged meals that you can heat up in a microwave at 7-Elevens in Taiwan. And they got chairs and tables inside a 7-Eleven. So I've literally had dates inside a 7-Eleven. If you tell a chick in America, we're on our first date. Let's just meet over here at this 7-Eleven. She gonna hang up on you. She's gonna go straight to social media. She's gonna put a big picture of your face on her page and shit on you, at you, right? Call you dusty, crusty, musty, and disgusting, just because you want to have a low maintenance date, right? Even if it ain't at 7-Eleven, she gonna shit on you. But in Taiwan, not so much. All right. But I will admit to this, Taiwan, the brothers I did see with Taiwanese women there, it wasn't that many, and the ones that I did see with women, these were Africans, and they didn't look all that great. They did not look all that. They was on the heavier side, which is totally different than mainland China. Mainland China, I saw brothers with the finest Asian women in mainland China. But in Taiwan, Taiwan is a more civilized version of China. All right, China's beyond ratchet, where Taiwan, they're more civilized, they're more laid back, relaxed, friendlier, respectful. It's way more chill in Taiwan, right? But the women, I didn't see, or at least I didn't see when I was out and about on the streets. I didn't really see brothers, women that were in shape. When I would go to the club, I didn't even really see Taiwanese women on brother. I see brothers trying to holler at Taiwanese women, but I didn't see brothers with Taiwanese women going to the clubs, right? I didn't see women in brothers' faces. And the brothers that were trying to holler at Taiwanese women, they came across real dainty, right? I guess in their mind, they felt like I didn't really see that much masculinity when it came to men or brothers trying to approach Taiwanese women in Taiwan. I didn't really see it that much, right? I seen brothers go in the club with, other black women, white women, or Hispanic women in Taiwan. Well, that handful of Hispanic women that were in Taiwan. But the ones that I saw in a relationship with dudes, so it seemed like, and I knew that Taiwanese women were like hooking up with men, with brothers in Taiwan, because I was dating this chick from Swaziland, East Swatini, right? Tall, ghetto booty, top heavy, slim waist. I still got a picture of him. I might post it up on Patreon. But her friend was cute also. Her friend looked good. Her friend was a Taiwanese chick. Mind you, this chick that I was seeing that was from East Swatini, she was a college student. And the school she was going to, like one of her good friends was Taiwanese. But this Taiwanese chick, she was like, more into black men. But the dudes her friend was hooking up with were from school or they was from online on Bumble. All right. So on Bumble, I would say Bumble and Hello Talk. Bumble, you're going to get more younger women, college students that's trying to hook up with brothers. All right. Obviously, I would go with Bumble over Tinder. Tinder is garbage at the end of the day. Tinder, that's why a lot of guys are running into these scopamine queens in Latin America. Tinder has a very negative reputation as far as the quality of women, right? There's worse than Tinder, but them apps have been phased out. Like nobody even goes on these other apps anymore. right? But Tinder, you know, that's slowly but surely fading out. Bumble, I met up with some women from Bumble on in Taiwan. Scout, Scout is another one, but uh, Scout has phased out, right? Then there was Badu. Badu is don't really work too well in Taiwan for brothers. It's really Bumble, all right. Um, but the Taiwanese women that I met with, these women, they were either college students that they just kind of wanted somebody when they has, like, maybe on the weekends to smash with in private, not just trotting around town out and about together, holding hands, kicking cans, letting the public know that, all right, this is who her dude is, type shit. Right? They just kind of wanted somebody. They just wanted to get dick down on the weekends by somebody, and then throughout the week just go to school, get their work done, and fuck on the weekends privately. Right? And then you got that group of women who they kind of want a boyfriend. They don't mind. They don't really care about what the public has to say or think. Because remember, I talked about this. When you go to certain countries in Asia, a lot of women are mindful, especially a lot of young women are mindful as to how the public perceives them out in public, right? But then it's kind of like it doesn't matter. Like the public don't care anymore. Like you pissed away your youth, right? So as they get older, the public don't really say shit to them anymore, right? Because they know, okay, well, she's well over 25. Fuck her. Just as long as she finds somebody, then the public don't really care. All right. So that's when you get on some of these apps or you out in public, and then that's when you get these women in their mid-30s and their 40s hollering at you. All right. The women who are going to holler at you the most are women about 34 and older, right? 34 to 45, 50. These women are going to these women are going to approach you the heaviest. These women are going to want to know excuse me, these women are going to want to know what you doing that evening, right? Are you looking for somebody serious? Do you want me to cook for you? That's kind of when they try to be useful, somewhat sort of useful to a man, but they're still kind of weird. The remnants of their rebellious behavior is still kind of overlaps into the no man land zone. When they in no man land, that's kind of when they kind of stop playing games, but they still kind of weird, right? Between a woman 30 and 33, they're starting to come around because they know it's kind of over. So they can only be with a foreigner, but they still kind of, some of them are still kind of playing games. Like it's hit them, but it hasn't hit them that hard just yet. Right? They still kind of playing games between 30 and 33. When they reach 34 in Taiwan, that's when it's like, oh shit, it's over. Right? I just want to give this, coochie to a man that um that just wants me, that just wants to be accompanied by a woman. All right. Now, between 18 and 22, when they in college, um, like I said, man, I'm not putting women. There are the majority of women you're gonna see, especially in college. The majority of women, they want to be with their own men, right? They want to. That's when women they get educated, but they also find a man at the same time. These women already found who their soulmate or husband's gonna be when probably before 2021, and they just stick by that man the entire time, whether they have kids or not. Right? They just stick with that man when they're in college. But the ones who are curious about foreigners, I'm not saying there's that many, but it's either going to be the other foreign women from other neighboring countries, or if they are actually Taiwanese, you don't, they either kind of big, or if they are slim, cute, in shape, it's kind of secretive a little bit, right? It's kind of secretive, but definitely like if you are going to school or in college and the women between like 18 and 23, they're not really checking for you at that school or at a different school, man. Women like at least 30 and older on Bumble that are lonely and they know it's over. They've managed to hit 30 without a man. See, women in America, that's when they trying to settle down, right? At 30. No matter how many kids they have, that's when they trying to settle down. Where a woman that's 30 in Asia, especially Taiwan, that's when in their minds it's over. Hell, it was over at 25, but at 30, that's when it's like, all right, it's over. So it's kind of almost an insult at the end of the day, because it's it's almost an insult, because it's like, okay, I'm only coming to you or somebody like you when it's over, not when I think I'm in my prime, right? Prime years, and I mean, they're doing the right thing. Prime years, they give themselves to somebody of their culture, which I mean, most people should be doing, right? But I wouldn't even, you know, I'm not saying it's impossible, right? It is possible, but man, usually like the women that I got with that were, consistent with communication, thoughtful, caring, um, actually went out of their way to come and see me, went out of their way to make sure life was smooth for me. And, they cooked for me, they baked goods for me. It was around between that 34 to 37 range in Taiwan. All right. Between that 34 to 37, right? The woman who was the most, I guess, nurturing, loving, caring, sweet. Like when I met her, she was like 36, 37 in Taiwan. So, if that's too old for you, which, I totally understand, because I really only date women that are, early, not even mid, but early 20s. Um, I say this, man, like, just wait till you get a little bit older. But if you don't mind that age range right there, then definitely go to Taiwan. But just know if you get somebody who's like 30, 31, they still gonna be kind of playing games. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them like 30, 31, they still kind of playing games in Taiwan, right? Women that are serious, they get married at like 23, 24. Right? They are married with a child before 25 in Taiwan. They got their dude. Right? But you have to take into account how people think the public is going to perceive them. Now, I knew one guy, he was African. I believe he was African. Older. This how I knew about this person. All right. I was looking for a job on the north side of Shinju. I showed you guys on the last live stream in Jubei. All right. I was going to move to Taipei. I don't have regrets moving to Taipei, right? But you know, I should have stayed in Shinju, right? I should have stayed in Shinju and I should have just moved to Jubei. I should have just stayed. All right. I was looking for a job and, you know, when you put your resume out there and somebody messages you, somebody hits you up, they don't email you. Most of the time in Asia, they don't email you. They add, it's almost required that you add your WhatsApp or your Line Messenger, your Kakao Talk, whatever they're using as a messenger app in that country, in Asia. It's almost required for you to give your Line Messenger account and put it on your resume in Taiwan, right? Same thing with Japan, Thailand, same thing. All right. So I put my resume out there because I wanted to relocate to Jubei. I wanted to get an apartment over there. And I just wanted a job. I just wanted everything to be in Jubei, right? The north side of Shinju. Real fly, nice, clean. I want to be over there. So, the reason why I wanted to be over there, because I was over there every day anyways, not for work, but that's where I would work out, I would eat, I would, go on dates, meet women, hang out. Like I was always over in Jubei. Only worked on like the southwest side. After work, I would go to Jubei. So I get a message from one of the companies that I put my resume towards, and they hit me up on Line Messenger. Hey, we received your resume. We want to set up an interview, right? We need you to do a demo. I'm like, okay, but on the profile picture is two young girls, but they're mixed. You can tell they're half black, half Chinese. I'm like, oh, okay. So whoever this is, more likely it's the woman who's Chinese and the man is black, African, whatever. I get over to the school. The school looks pretty decent. It's actually nice, right? The board, everything. So I get there, and it was a nice language center. It was a really nice language center, and the guy who was interviewing me was the husband. I believe he was like African, but his English was pretty good. He had like, a little accent, but it wasn't too heavy, right? Dude was in shape, dress, casual, nice, right? Try to put me on the spot. Well, not put me on the spot in a negative way, but as far as, asking about, hey, can you explain to me what past perfect tense is and write a past perfect tense sentence or write 4 past perfect tense sentences on the board and then pretend I'm a child and explain to me, how, you know, why is it past perfect tense? So I aced the interview, bam, 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 and I wanted top pay, and they was willing to give it to me, right? So I had to speak to his wife because his wife seemed like the school was actually in her name. I mean, because she's Taiwanese and he's there running it with her, but seemed like she was the boss at the end of the day because, the school's in her name and she's the one that got to talk with the parents. I see the wife, I'm like, damn, right? The dude's in shape, you know, African guy, casual, cool, But the wife was like, you ever seen those movies or them cartoons? And you got the lazy couch potato middle-aged man with the wife beater, the dirty wife beater in his drawers with dirty socks, pizza boxes everywhere, 5 o'clock shadow with a receding hairline, looking miserable watching TV in a lazy boy couch. She looked like the female version of that. That's how she looked. Like replace that guy with a woman. That's how she looked. I was real disappointed. I'm like, damn, this your lady? This your woman? I'm like, oh. So they was gonna offer me decent pay if I'd have stayed there, but I didn't take the job. I did the interview anyways, but I didn't take the job because um the guy was me personally, I didn't want to work somewhere where somebody that was in management was of African descent. Me personally, right? Now, if they was FBA, I probably would have taken a job with somebody African. And then, I was just like, yeah, I don't know how that's going to go. So I didn't take the job. I ended up going to Taipei because Taipei, it was offering me way more money. And, I was just like, hey, man, I'm still single. I'm out here. I'm trying to, hit the scene or whatever. At the time, I wanted to get out of Shinju because, wasn't no place to party or you know, well, no clubs or nothing like that in Shinju. So I want to experience the scene in Taipei instead of going back and forth on the weekends like that. Right. And, to go to Taipei and club in Taipei, because the trains, they shut down at a certain time. So if you go to Taipei, you got to get a room. I'm like, why don't I just live in Taipei? So then I relocated to Taipei. Now work, they paid more, but as far as dealing with students in Taipei, it was worse because the kids in Taipei were worse. Like they were way nicer and better to deal with, more pleasant to deal with in Shinju. But those are some of the guys where like I see. I remember one time, when I was in Taipei, um, this is when I lived in, I think it was Sanchong, the Sanchong district, because Taipei and New Taipei City, they're broken up in districts. Well, really, all of Taiwan, they call them districts, right? Everything's broken up into districts. I lived in a Sanchong district by that bridge that connected to like the mainland Taipei, um, where like Taipei main station was. So that's like the major bus station and train station, high speed rail station. So where Taipei main station is, that's like at the end or the beginning of the major bridge that connects to Sanchong. And then it's like a little river, but it's not really filled with water. It's kind of what's supposed to be a river. It's kind of dry, you know, but nonetheless, it's over a bridge. So I used to live on the other side of that bridge in Sanchong, like right at the entrance of the bridge, right by the light, right? And so I remember one time I was riding over that bridge. There was a black dude, and he had like a Taiwanese chick on the back of his motorbike. They both riding. He had a Taiwanese chick on the back of the motorbike. And he like, you can't really see him because he had a helmet on, but judging by the way he was dressed and how dark he was, I would assume he was African. But the chick he had on the back of his bike, it looked like Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy riding on a scooter. It's like the chick on the back of his motorbike was real piggly wiggly looking. So I didn't really see brothers with dimes like that in Taiwan. Now the women that I met up with, I would say I would say the highest, the finest chick I ever messed around with in Taiwan, you know, I would give her, I don't know if I could give her an 8. I give her like a high, like a 7.7 or something like that. The lowest ranking one, I probably give her about, like a 5.8, maybe low 6, high 5. You know what I'm saying? But they was never that big that brother had on the back of his motorbike. That chick, that chick kept the back wheel flat on his motorbike. That's kind of how big she was. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, so I didn't really see, you know, brothers just, I didn't really see a lot of black men in general in Taiwan, but the ones that I did see, they was with black women, or colored, whatever, because there was some South African guys I would see. They was with their own South African, like people kind of get what they own in Taiwan. Like I had a few black women try to holler at me in Taiwan, right? But you meet some of these women that are Taiwanese, mid 20s or whatever, and you know, even if they do look okay, they kind of delusional, man. They kind of delusional. So Taiwan is one of them countries where if you don't mind dealing with somebody who's like kind of like early to mid 30s or older, then it's like, then don't go. Like, if you don't mind dealing with that age range, then go. It's basically for guys who are a little bit older, or either you're a little bit older, or you like dealing with women that are a little bit older. But even the ones that are 30, 31, like they are gone mentally, they are gone. Right? They not, it hasn't really hit them yet. You know, some of these women that are over the age of 25, they don't have a man, they don't have kids. Um, some of them are nice, polite, but it's the outlook on like I knew this one chick. She was very nice, she was friendly, she was cool, but she had a dude that she had been with for a very long time. I think she had been with this guy since the early 20s, but she didn't want to get married to him. She didn't want to have kids with him. So I'm like, well, does he want to have kids and get married? She was like, yeah, but it's you that's not allowing this. She was like, yeah, I don't want to have none of that. So I'm like, well, what if he leaves and go gets himself a woman that wants to have kids with him? She was like, all right, well, fine. He can go and do that. I'll just be by myself then. Right. And that's different in Taiwan than America. You see what I'm saying? Like in Asia, you know, a woman of a certain age, when a woman's 25 with no kids and no man, they can never, ever, ever, ever get with a man from their own culture anymore. At best, they can get with is a foreigner, and a foreigner is kind of risky because a foreigner, forget about if he's mentally sane or not. The foreigner could leave at any given point in time. So a foreigner has a choice whether he wants to stay and really look after you or not. So it all goes based on how you are as a person, right? But some of these women, they I notice it's like once they reach, like, you won't be hard pressed to meet somebody 30, 31, right? Around about their age, 32, where it's like they just don't know what they're doing in life. right? They still living at home with their parents. They might have, especially some of those women that did exchange, the foreign exchange students, right? I met women who they went over to Ireland. They went over to Ireland because like they wanted to improve their English, and they wanted to meet a good white man, and that went drastically wrong for them. It was the experience was horrendous. It wasn't what they thought it was going to be, right? Then I met some women who are Taiwanese that they go to Russia, and that was horrendous for them. Really, the women who would go to like the women you talk to that go to like Australia or Ireland, they stay a little bit longer, right? They would, or to the UK, they would stay a little bit longer, then they come back when they're really over the hill. And now they have to deal with a foreigner, or they're out here with foreigners. Whereas like the ones who went to Russia, they came straight back after they were done. Then they was young enough to be able to find a Taiwanese man and get married, or on the verge of getting married. But you meet some of these women who they went to Australia or Ireland or the UK, they come back like in their late 20s, early 30s, and they got to start life all over again, still living at home with their parents, frolicking, prancing around as if they don't know what's going on. They got their head up their ass, and then they kind of still they kind of still feel like they can hold rank over a foreigner. And then some of these foreigners are just like, look, I'm not even. And depending on what kind of man you are, you either gonna deal with that shit, or you're gonna be like, hey, look, there's better over here, right? I seen some guys who was they was in the nightlife scenes. Some guys that were in the night. Actually, I take that back. There was one club where it was like a hookah lounge. I didn't go there. I never went there, but it was a hookah lounge, and they play like hip hop and R&B, and all the women there, they was in the brothers, but you know how they were built. You know how they was. I mean, I didn't have to go to see. Like I just looked at the pictures on Google Images, Google Maps, and that told me everything I needed to see. I'm just like, no, that's not what I want, right? That's not what I don't want. The ones with tattoos and quote unquote thick or chunky or whatever. I want the purest of the pure. That's what I want, right? So I found that, you know, I found that now at work. Did I ever work anywhere where a Taiwanese woman was choosing? No, no. And if they were choosing, it was because they was a little bit older. They were a little bit older. But as far as young Taiwanese women, like either they was already like married, or they were engaged to be married on the job, or they was just not interested, or they was just kind of just out there, or a couch potato. There's a lot of couch potato women in Taiwan, especially if they're not married, right? There's a lot of, and a married Taiwanese woman put me up on game. She told me, she said that most Taiwanese women in Taiwan They don't know how to they don't know how to actually be useful. They don't know how to actually be useful to their family and care for their family until they're in their 30s. And that came out of the horse's mouth. I even saved that screenshot. I have it, on one of my hard drives, but it's like I would really have to search for it. She even told me herself, which I've said that many, many times on this platform. Most women don't become over in Asia. They kind of don't really become useful until they're deemed over the hill, like way over the hill, right? And this woman told me, she said, "Yeah, we don't know how to be useful to our families until we're in their 30s. We just expect men to do everything in their 20s." And a lot of these women, they get married and having kids in Asia, especially Taiwan, in their early to mid 20s, right? So you'll meet a lot of the ones who aren't married. You'll meet and no kids. You'll meet a lot of like couch potato, just kind of ditzy Taiwanese women when you get to Taiwan, right? They'll have these weird like demands. They don't act like a boss bitch or anything like that. It's like they'll try to tell you how it's gonna be and how it ain't gonna go. Like they'll try to put some rules and uh stipulations on you. You're like, what the fuck? Like, bitch, you out of your fucking mind. And this is a woman who's like working part-time or not even working, and they like 32 years old, still living at home with their mom and dad. There was one chick I went on a date with, and she was just like, "Yeah, I'm working, but I'm about to quit. I'll just look for a job later on." I'm like, "But I think she was like 33 or something like that." I'm like, "But you're 33. How are you gonna pay the bills?" She's like, "No, I live at home with my parents, and I'm like, "Well, what are they gonna say?" My mom, she said it was okay. She was like, "Oh, it's okay. You could take a break." They enable the behavior of laziness, right? And most of these kids, man, it's like the parents ain't really tripping on them. They at least keep one of their children really close by to take care of them when they get older, but most of them, they're not the only child if they're behaving that way. They're not the only child, right? If they're the only child, the parents wouldn't really allow that. But they're not the only child. It's like, all right, it's cool. Because they already got their grandkids from the other kid that's married, right? But the girl, a lot of girls, man, they stay at home in Taiwan, especially if they're not, they don't really care for marriage and kids like that. They just stay at home and they literally either work part-time or sometimes they're in between jobs, not really doing anything. And they kind of have that ditzy, "Oh, I don't know what to do in my life. I'll just still continue to play games because I have a roof over my head. I don't really have to pay for anything" type of attitude, right? Salute to J Bones. Been a minute. Salute to J Bones. All right. Ray Mann says, "Why is Taiwan not pushed to visit or date compared to Thailand and the Philippines?" Because Thailand and the Philippines, the struggle is real. They have a culture of prostitution in Thailand and the Philippines, and there's extreme poverty. Whereas Taiwan, it's not really extreme. I mean, there's poverty there, but it's not extreme poverty, right? You don't have, maybe deep in the country, someplace, I don't know. But Taiwan, I didn't see women selling pussy, in Taiwan. I didn't, you don't see like you know, a whole strip full of women with numbers on their chests working to pay uh the light bill, type shit. You don't see like a whole street on one side of women and a whole street on the other side of lady boys working for money in Taiwan. Like the GDP is higher, right? They have resources. They have a thriving semiconductor industry in Taiwan, right? Whereas Philippines is GDP and Thailand GDP is like just all based off of the tourism industry. Taiwan doesn't really need the tourism industry. They invite people there, but it's like Taiwan is more for Taiwan is best for digital nomads, really, because the visas are a lot easier to get in Taiwan. I can go to Taiwan right now. As soon as I land, I get a 3-month visa. And then if I want to extend it, they'll extend it for 3 more months. And I'm pretty sure if you go to the embassy, you can finagle a 1-year visa just sitting there doing nothing, if that's what you want to do in Taiwan. Thailand, you can't do that. So many people are traveling in and out of Thailand every single year that, look, soon as you arrive, you only get a 1-month stamp. And if you're on overstay, they're going to ban you. They'll kick you out and ban you for a year. All right. So it's promoted as far as dating, and it's not even really promoted as far as dating. It's promoted as far as fun, because that's just the culture over there. It's extreme poverty in Thailand. Like, you got over there off Ekamai, you go down there by Ekamai Station, and you go down the road a little bit. There's gonna be like a little river, a real dirty river of some sorts, right? A canal, river, whatever you want to call it. And it's going to be a lot of the slums are just hanging off, the edge of that little river, that dirty, green, bubuic, brown water, right? And them little slums, they look like they're about to tip over and fall into the water, right? There's people living in there. Like, that's how a lot of people live. Bangna, Bering BTS station, man, like there's these little, there's these apartments, condos with like the burglar bar, cages, on the outside of all these condos. And man, I remember walking past some of these little condos. You see a bunch of rats, right? You see trash everywhere. You see rats everywhere, right? There's no AC. It's dirty. It's extreme poverty in Thailand, right? I knew this one chick. She worked in Cambodia as like a translator, but she lived in like a dorm. The dorm was clean, right? But you pretty much had to work like damn near every day in this dorm, and it's very strict on when you got to be back. And the contract was like for 6 months at a time. And so, basically this Cambodian chick was, because there's a lot of Cambodians in Thailand, because it was this, what was that incident called in Cambodia? It's like something Rouge or something like that. Something Rouge, where basically they was exterminating a lot of Cambodians in Cambodia at the time. And so I think it was King Bhumibol who who allowed to the some of the Cambodian people who escaped from Cambodia that were just getting wiped out over there to seek sovereignty in the country of Thailand. So there's a lot of Cambodians in Thailand, but even though they speak Thai, they read Thai, they grew up Thai, like the offspring, the kids, they went to school. For whatever reason, Thailand will not give them Thai citizenship. I don't know why. So, and in many of these people, they cannot, like, they can't read or write or speak Cambodian. This one girl in particular grew up in Thailand, was Cambodian, didn't have Thai citizenship, couldn't work in Thailand, right? And if she did, she could work in Thailand, like at a restaurant, but they was going to pay her next to nothing. So in order to make enough money to kind of take care of her family, she had to work in like a real strict environment in Cambodia, but they paid pretty decent money. And um, like where her family lives at in Thailand, dude, they live on like it's just like a dude. They don't even have a floor. Their floor is like cement, right? They don't have any furniture. They just have like blankets and shit on the ground, and it's extreme poverty. You know, a lot of people, especially in the Philippines, man, it's extreme poverty. So yeah, like they promote, you know, dating and prostitution because it's money for sex, right? You know, it's like the calling. It's like calling all tricks, calling all tricks. We got women over here that's willing to fuck for money, right? So it's like not only are you empowering a family or a woman and her family, it's like you also empowering the hotel industry, you know, the tourism industry, these restaurants. So they got money to build like a mall and restaurants and shit like that. But man, for the most part, it's you know, it's still extreme poverty over there. And mentally, you know, the class, like you could build all this nice shit, but mentally, um, sometimes like the level of class that a lot of people have, you know, in extreme poverty, um, extreme poverty stricken nations, you still see a lot of like dusty shit around there. Whereas like Taiwan is not like that. Yes, there's poverty there, but it's like it's for the most part, man, people like it's a like the classism is totally different. The GDP is different. You know, it's different. You know, but that's a good question. There was a genocide in Kenya. Yeah, yeah. That's it was called Rouge something. I forget the name of it, but yeah, there's that genocide in Cambodia. It a lot of people escaped and came to Thailand. But those people that escaped, they were able to go to school and you know, but they're not able to get like Thai citizenship for whatever reason. I think that's fucked up, right? Because they give it to it seemed like they give it to Chinese people, but Chinese people, you know, same thing happened during the era of Mao Zedong when they escaped China, came over to Thailand, and King Bhumibol gave sovereignty to a lot of Chinese people in Thailand. But you know, Chinese people they worked together and just secluded themselves on the west side of Bangkok, and it's like they have their own neighborhood. Was like the Cambodians didn't really do that, you know. So, um, But Taiwan, and I showed you guys last week, or a few days ago, during that live stream, what it looks like over there. Hell, if you've been around long enough, you've seen my walkarounds in Taiwan, right? I got to put them back up. But you've seen my videos. Jay Bones has been around long enough to know what it looks like in Taiwan because I used to walk around with a camera over there live in my own neighborhood and different neighborhoods in Taiwan, right? So y'all know I'm not gonna say it's extremely clean, but at least as far as the area I lived in, because I didn't like the only areas worth living in Taipei and New Taipei City to me is Dam Shui and what's that other district? What was that one mall I used to go to all the time with the big Ferris wheel? And they had the driving range, the golf range. I forget the name of that mall. Was it Miramar Mall? I forget the name of that district, right? Just type in mall in Taipei or New Taipei City with big Ferris wheel, big green Ferris wheel. That area is real nice with houses, but you're gonna drop a bag living over there. That area is nice. Other than that, man, like some of these buildings, nah, like I made the mistake when I lived in Sanchong. It was like renovated and everything. I'm like, yes, I'll take this. Man, they was still doing some renovations upstairs. Uh, you hear jackhammer during the day, them cleaning out a bunch of shit, and there must have been a huge infestation of ants, raspberry ants, up above because they came down from the ceiling from my kitchen and got into my electronics. And so, man, they destroyed. Now, like the little case, whenever I lived in Taiwan or Thailand, I never turned on the TVs that they had. So I would always move into like a brand new condo. When I move in, there's a TV there covered in plastic. The film is over the screen, and the little styrofoam or whatever padding is on the edges. When I would move out, it would still be on there. I never used the TV, right? So in Sanchon, when I lived there, I never turned on the TV, and the cable box was like on the floor. I mean, one time them ants came from up above, and they just housed themselves inside of that cable box. I was like, what the fuck? But they just kept coming on, and I never really ate. It wasn't. They didn't want the food. They just wanted the electronics. They wanted to house themselves in my electronics, and I had an Ableton Push, the Ableton Push 2. That shit wasn't cheap. It was like $1,200. And man, them ants came down, and thousands of them like would house themselves inside of my beat machine. And I was just like, man, what the fuck? So I had to throw it away. So some of these buildings, man, it's like, and then I lived in Shinju, and it was always roaches because it's that building was infested with roaches and rats. So it was like I didn't experience that when I went to Dam Shui. Dam Shui, y'all seen videos like really, really, really nice condos over there. Really, really upscale, high end condos, real fancy looking, look real expensive, but they're very cheap to live in there. Right. So I believe that's when you had your motor. Yeah, I had that. Well, I had I had 3 motorbikes in Taiwan. So the first motorbike I had was a Kimco. It was an old Kimco. It was like a 97 Kimco, right? And I think I paid 5,000 Taiwan dollars for that Kimco. And shit, that got me around. That got me all the way to, I kept that. I had that in Shinju. I just wanted that to get around. Sometimes that bitch wouldn't even start. Then all of a sudden it just didn't start. When I moved to Sanchong in Taipei, it just didn't start one day. So then I ended up going to Yamaha, but I didn't know anything about, I didn't really know too much about different motorbikes. So I go there in Yamaha one day, and on the showroom floor, he only had like a handful of motorbikes out, but I just like, oh, I'll take that one then. He was like, all right, so I signed the paperwork or whatever. The next day I come back to pick it up, and then he had like a new shipment of all these motorbikes, and they were nice as hell. I'm like, oh shit, no, I don't want that one no more. I want this one. He was like, oh, but you already signed it. Because Taiwan's a little different. Like in America, you could do that and be like, hey, fuck that. Go back to the bank and say, and you know, get your money tell them to give you more for this one, and then we'll redo the contract or whatever. In America, you could do that, but in Taiwan, you can't do that. As soon as you sign, it's like you got to pay it off or sell it. And then you know, you could get a different one. So it was, so I got this a brand new motorbike, but it was blue. It was cool. Right? It was like, you know, it was fairly cheap. But then I had that for about, I forgot how long I had it. But I had it until I moved out of Sanchong to Damshui, way on the north side. So I had a beach condo, right? I had a condo with an ocean view. I remember that. I had a condo with an ocean. I mean, there was a building in the way, but you could see the ocean was right there. Then I got into a motorbike accident, right? And so got hit by a truck. I only like scratched up my knee. And then that, like, it didn't total the bike. It was a bunch of scratches on it. But I hit up the owner, and I was like, hey, this happened to me. You know, they're gonna give me money for the bike to repair. I just want to trade it in and get something else. He was like, all right. So then I got me an NMAX. I got a black 150 NMAX. That shit was probably like one of my favorite motorbikes I ever owned. Because throughout my life, I've owned, between motorbikes and motorcycles, I've owned one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. I've owned 8 different bikes my whole life. My favorite was that NMAX right there. Yeah, it wasn't the fastest, but man, I was, that shit was like the materials and like how smooth it was and how slick it was, and just, oh, that was my favorite. That was my favorite. I got pulled over a couple times on that NMAX. I got pulled over like like I think like 3 different times on the NMAX, tickets, but yeah, I really, really miss Taiwan. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. I miss Taiwan. And I mean that. Like, my biggest regret was going to school in Thailand when I should have went in Taiwan and majored in Mandarin. And then either I would have stayed in Taiwan or I could have left. I could have went anywhere, but I would have had my own business. And Man, that Mandarin, shit, that is a lucrative skill right there to know English and Mandarin. So you're wasting your time if you know Mandarin and you're teaching English. You are wasting your fucking time. You was dating a chick from Swaziland, I believe, at the time, Splash, when I was in. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was. I talked about that earlier. Yep. Yeah, see, J Bones, he remembered. Yep. I visited Taiwan once. It's very cool, polite people. Yeah, see, now at this stage of my life, I'm kind of just focusing on Latin America because between Taiwanese women, as far as body looks, they're not that high on the list as far as looks in Asia, right? Like Thai women look better than Taiwanese women. You know, I mean, you'll see some cute Taiwanese women, but I'm gonna be honest, like Thai women in Thailand look better than Taiwanese women. Women from the mainland, China, they look way better than Taiwanese women. Korean look way better than Taiwanese women. Japanese women, I would say I would say they got the edge, but I wasn't impressed with women in Osaka. I went to Osaka, I was not impressed. I was like, yeah, like I mean, I like Japan, don't get me wrong, but I was not impressed with the women. The women looked, I was like, man, so the Philippines, they look better. There's better looking women in the Philippines, better looking women in Hong Kong, shit, better looking women in Singapore. Taiwan was just kind of like, yeah. It was like, yeah, it was all right, you know, nothing special to me. Not bad, but you know, nothing really. There weren't no head turners, and wasn't no head turners like that in Taiwan. But I love the lifestyle in Taiwan. Right, I love the lifestyle. I used to, even though I lived in Sanchong or Dam Shui, man, I would still take that ride. I would hop on that black. Y'all remember that bike, that black on black NMAX, that 150 with that sleek look on it. I think it had gold rims. I did not like the rims on it. That was the only thing I didn't like about it. I was like, man, can we change the rims? I could have, you know, if I would have went to a shop, but I was like, man, I do not like the rims on this. But I miss, see, Dom Shui is already fly and exotic on his own, riding around through there. Because I used to live by the water, by the beach. So you seen all the boats, all the windsurfers and everything, all the seagulls, right? And the weather was nice. And then, man, I used to just ride all the way into town, right? I used to ride all the way to Taipei 101, right? I had a gym membership in Taipei 101 for, it was called World Gym, I believe. Yeah, World Gym. I showed you guys yesterday. But that World Gym in Shinju is the best one. The World Gym that's inside of Taipei 101 is raggedy as hell. Like you only paying for that membership to go in there because you just want to hang out in Shinju District, right? So once I got tired of World Gym, and I'm like, how the fuck you gonna drop the ball by putting a World Gym in Taipei 101, and it's one of the worst World Gyms in Taiwan, right? I went and got uh I went and got with their competitor. I forgot the name of the other gym. I forgot the name of it, but I went and got a membership at their competitor. And they're right across the street from Taipei 101, right? In a smaller building. In that same building, there's like clubs in there and shit. So if you go to that gym at night, you in the elevator with all the club people. But that other gym, that was a compare. I forgot the name of it. They had a really, really, really nice gym in Sydney. So I used to love riding around, going down there, going to the gym, going to restaurants, walking around, hanging out in the Breeze Mall. You know, that was fly. I really miss Taiwan. Going out at 3 in the morning to that uh that ramen spot that I did a whole video on down in Xinyi District by Taipei 101. That was fly. But see, Taiwan is a spot where you travel with your lady. Going there to meet somebody, yeah, it's just even the white dudes. Like there was like a couple white dudes that I knew of that had like Taiwanese girlfriends. Most of the white dudes I knew, they had like Indonesian. They had every other girl as a girlfriend besides a Taiwanese chick, right? But as far as the country itself, I miss it a lot. Food was clean and fresh. The people don't have much personality, even in Taipei. I disagree with the food being, well, I'm not going to say that it wasn't clean and fresh. It wasn't that great to me. Yeah, Taiwanese food, the food over there was it was like, it was ass on a plate, right? You get used to it after a while. You start to like it, but I would have to put Taiwan as like one of the worst places to get food in Asia, really. Like Thailand was great. Japan was great. Korea was good. I'm not gonna say great, but it was good. Hong Kong was great. Mainland China, I'm gonna have to say, it depends, right? But Taiwan, no. Taiwan, no. I can give you the clean part, but because I didn't run into like, not like Thailand where you're gonna go someplace where they're gonna serve you moldy, shitty food or there's like shit in your food. You're gonna run into a spot like that. You're gonna get strep throat in Thailand. Taiwan, you're not really gonna get strep throat, but it's like it's not the best. It's not the best food, right? But it's you're not like gonna get sick off the food like that. But it's nah. Um, they look very average in Taiwan. The women are plain Jane mid, but they polite and cool. Yeah, like they was. I didn't really run into like bitches like that in Taiwan. There was one woman like I used to work for the language center called Happy Miriam, and the woman who owned it, that was a franchise owner of that spot. She was like, she was a bitch. Like the kids were scared of her, but she wanted to get with me, right? But she had a husband and a daughter. Her husband was younger, so she would talk shit to him in front of the kids and everything, and didn't really stand up for himself or whatever. I don't know. That's his business. But she was trying to get with me, and when I like, she was always giving me compliments, wanting me to, want to take me out on the weekends and shit like that. I was just like, no. So then after a while, it got to a point where like, okay, this motherfucker don't want to fuck me or nothing like that. So she tried to go off on me one day, and I went off on her bitch ass. I scared the shit out of her, like, cause she was just always loud and screaming at the kids. So she thought she could pull that on me. Boy, she had a rude awakening. All right. So it was her and there was another chick that she hired that was like a woman of a certain age that, you know, I like it was always the bitches are gonna be like if you work in Taiwan, the bitches are always gonna be either the owner or the teacher's assistants, like your assistant, right? Because they're jealous. They think they know English and they speak Chinese too, and they should be making the money you're making, so it's all jealousy. But outside of work, I didn't really run into like rude, bitchy people that were Taiwanese in Taiwan. They was pretty cool for the most part, right? If you're visiting, but like you live there, um, you'll see a different side of certain groups of people. What's the ranking? What do you mean? What's the ranking? Can you be more specific, please? Thailand, Japanese food much better. Yeah, Thailand and Japanese food are much better. But see, in Thailand, like it depends on where you go, right? That's why I say eat in the mall. Like everything's in the mall, even high-end restaurants in the mall. If you go to a mom and pop spot, shit, you better say your grace before you eat that food at a mom and pop spot in Thailand and China. I'm staying cool. We just get some wisdom. Yeah, splash dropping game. Appreciate it. But see, the thing is, it's like I I love talking about Taiwan because I'm like, people don't know just how fly it is, just how you know. I never forget when I was in I was in Thailand and I was in Thailand at this moment in time. I've been in Thailand for like 5 years. It was the end of the semester. I'm working at this school and the kids are cool. It's laid back, right? But man, the work environment with this company, it was very catty, right? It was drama, not like you had to deal with the drama or whatever. Cause after a while, I wouldn't even hang out in the teachers' lounge when I was in Thailand. When I show up to school, I would just go in my classroom and hang out there, right? But some of your coworkers is just and really most of the drama came from black women with this company, right? Black women were causing the most drama, of course. The kids were all right, you know, just regular shit. But I didn't have to deal with the parents at all. I had a second job and I was working all day, working on the weekends. So money was just flowing for Thailand. Money was flowing, right? The money was flowing. I had a 2-bedroom apartment, right across the street from Bangkok University. I had a real fancy condo, speakers in the ceiling, digital dashes uh inside of the condo, washer and dryer inside the condo. Um, had the women would come over, right? Nice bathroom, had my whole setup. The second bedroom, it was my gaming room. So the second bedroom, it was just I had two gaming monitors, a PC built, everything. Like I was Everything was cool. I didn't, right? But then I was just like, man, I want to make more, and I want to, I want to make more, and I want to do something else. I want to go to a different country. So somebody gave me a business card to some like an agency in Taiwan. So I called them, emailed them, and that's when they found American Eagle, the language center for me in Hsinchu, Taiwan. And I went over there, and the apartment that I was living in, it wasn't as nice as Cave Condo. I'll admit to that. But I lived like smack dab in the middle of a neighborhood where it was like when you walk outside, it's restaurants all around you. Y'all remember the video that I recorded for those who have been around long enough. Like, y'all remember Cave Condo? Well, no, not Cave, excuse me. That neighborhood I lived in Hsinchu. Man, it was like, and then Hsinchu's so small. I used to walk from one end to the other just to go to the mall to get exercise and then go to the mall and hang out over there, go to the movies. But down that one strip, it was a bunch of restaurants, right? The bank was right there. 7-Eleven was right there. Family Mart was right there. And it was Malaysian restaurants, Filipino restaurants, Taiwanese restaurants. The grocery store was in walking distance. I was like, damn, this is amazing. This is amazing. Like, you don't have that in Thailand. And every restaurant, I mean, excuse me, damn, I'm having a brain fart. Every neighborhood I lived in was like that in time, whether it was in Hsinchu, New Taipei City, Taipei. It was always a bunch of restaurants all around, 7-Eleven right there, or in a grocery store all within walking distance. They designed every neighborhood like that. Whereas just everything is just close by. Everything you need is within walking distance, right? So, and when I moved to Taipei, hell, when I was in Hsinchu, my job was in walking distance. My job wasn't walking distance, or the restaurant was in walking distance. Um, a really, really, really nice park in Hsinchu wasn't walking distance. Everything wasn't walking distance. Everything. Everywhere I lived in Taiwan, I'm like, damn, like this is just how this should be like this everywhere you go. Around the world, it should be like this. Right. But you know, I love the lifestyle of Taiwan. It was just if you one of them guys where you want a Taiwanese woman, you going, you know, it's best to just go to school and see what you can get. If not, you're gonna end up with a foreign chick. But I left, and my life is great now. My life is wonderful now. I'm glad I came back. But man, if I had to go back to Asia for whatever reason, I'm going to Taiwan. I'm not I'm not going nowhere else besides Taiwan. So I mean, the countries you like versus when I go back to. All right. So I haven't been to that many countries. I haven't been to that many countries. Well, I mean, I've been to enough, but there's still places I want to go to. Right. Europe, I think the only place I want to go to is like Spain, maybe Portugal, maybe Germany. That's it. I don't want to go nowhere else. All right. Um, I want to go to Australia. I want to go to New Zealand. Um, I'm going to Turkey, but either in May or June. I'll say probably June. I'm going to Turkey in June, so I'll see how it is over there. But I I don't want to go back to Thailand until they get their shit together, but I don't think that's possible. Thailand is fun and dangerous at the same time, right? Thailand is a place where if you want to sleep with, you know, some of the sexiest Asian women ever, you could definitely go to Thailand. It's just going to cost you a little bit of money. All right. 30, 40, $50. Just pay the money. You can even look up and find a very attractive woman that wants to be in a relationship with you. Right. And in Thailand, all women don't look the same. Right. But shit, the thing about Thailand is it's like here's the thing, man. If you somebody that doesn't mind messing around with a chick with at least one kid, then you can get married and live happily ever after in Thailand. You could definitely do that. And I mentioned this before, like there was a very pretty chick who, you know, she had a good loving family that she came from and, very cute, decent job, loving, nurturing, caring, talkative. Even English wasn't like she wasn't that fluent in English. She did her best enough for us to have a conversation. She just wanted to be by my side and be around me all the time, right? Not like super clingy or whatever, but she was what every man looked for in a woman. You know, that was her, but she had a kid. She had a son. And I'm like, man, I didn't come over here to be a stepdad. Now, I know in Thailand, when you deal with a woman and she's like, when a woman in Thailand says you don't ever have to worry about her kid, they really, really mean that. Right? They really mean that. Most women in Thailand, they'll abandon a kid for a woman. I mean, for a man, excuse me. Most women and single mothers in Thailand, they'll abandon their child for a man. And I don't think that's cool either. But just the fact that she had a kid, I was just like, no, I didn't come over here to play stepdad for nobody. Now I know a couple of white guys who married women in Thailand that were single mothers. I know a couple of white guys that did that in Thailand. But me personally, I did not want to do that in Thailand. But I've met you can meet a solid woman in Thailand, right? But are they really solid? Right? They might be a single mother. But this one in particular, she was young. She was like 20, 21, right? And she had a little boy, and I was just like, so I had to let her go, right? There was another chick I've been off and on with for years. Um, so it's not like you can't find anything in Thailand. It's just, me, I'm kind of picky. I'm picky. If I wasn't that picky, I'd probably still be in Thailand right now, right? If I wasn't picky, but I got standards. Thailand, on the other, it's just that people. There's a level of negligence that's in Thailand that I'm like, yeah, that makes it dangerous to be over there, right? You could be walking on the sidewalk, somebody riding the opposite direction will hit you, run you over. You can fuck around and lose your life just because somebody decided to ride their motorcycle on the sidewalk and you're in their way, right? Um, there's a level of poverty, there's a level of negligence that's over there in Thailand that I just got tired of it. And people weren't as friendly. Genuinely, people are not as friendly as you think they are in Thailand, right? Taiwan, they were a little bit friendlier. They were actually genuinely friendlier in Taiwan. It's just when it's when you start working with people, right? Or when you start having kids and you put your kids through school, that's when it's kind of like, okay, I don't, right? There is a system where it's there and they try to protect foreigners and shit like that through the government, and then you can go through the website to file a complaint and get help and shit like that and hire a lawyer. But other than that, it's like it's not worth it at the end of the day. So do I want to go back to Thailand? Sometimes I miss Thailand, but once you're there for about a week or two, you're like, nah, get me the fuck up out of here. Taiwan, I definitely want to go back, but I see myself retiring in Taiwan. You see what I'm saying? I see myself like, let's say I get a bag in America. Let's say I get a bag in America, and I'm like, man, I want a home someplace else. I get a home in Panama and I get a home in Taiwan, right? I could trust buying a home in Taiwan and the government and the people of Taiwan leaving my house the fuck alone. I don't trust that in Thailand. You see what I'm saying? So even though I said I don't want to go back to Thailand, there's some things about Thailand I miss. Like you could pull for the right price, you could pull a bad bitch in Thailand, right? Now they not gonna be as pleasant to deal with as some of the ones in Panama, right? Some of the women in Panama, right? The women in Panama that was, the ones at the right price, that was a pleasant experience. That was like a wonderful, great, girlfriend experience almost, right? Not in Thailand. It's just their mental is ass the fuck backwards out there in Thailand. It's just, and it's frustrating dealing with people in Thailand. Whereas like in Taiwan, it wasn't frustrating dealing with people over there. There was nothing to be upset about in Taiwan. It's just the thing about Taiwan is the girls, the option of getting those girls, right? The little working girls or whatever, it's not there. That element is not really there in Taiwan like it is in Thailand. You understand? So Taiwan, is it a great place to visit? It's a great place to live, right? Because if you go there to visit, it's like I've already seen everything in Taiwan. So for me to go back, it's like, what am I gonna do? Like I get a hotel in the Xinyi district and just hang out there, spend a week there, and just go to the club every single night. I could do that. You can do. There is a club because I didn't really hit the clubs like that in Taiwan, right? So I could do that. Just kind of save. 'Cause I guess not hitting the clubs like that on the weekends when I was living in Taiwan kind of saved it for me later on in life. Uh, when I want to go back and visit and then actually hit the club scene on the weekends, like, every night or whatever. But I used to go to Frank's on weekdays and just relax. When there's like a handful of people in there, I got the whole place to myself, and I'm on the roof. I got a chick with me, and I'm on the roof. We're right next to Taipei 101. It was more of an intimate, romantic setting. But I guarantee that if I were to get online right now and talk to some women from Taiwan and say, hey, I'm coming to visit or whatever, I bet I have a much better experience doing that, finding somebody doing that than actually living there. And then telling women, no, I live here, right? It's totally different, right? So I definitely go back to Taiwan, definitely going back to Korea, definitely going back to Japan. I'll go back to China one day, hopefully. Definitely going back to Hong Kong. Definitely going back to. I do want to go back to Singapore, but I'm not going to spend the whole time in Singapore. Spend like 2-3 days there and then bounce to another country. I don't want to go back to Malaysia or Indonesia. It's just another Thailand to me. Definitely going back to Panama and Canada. I mean, I'm in Canada right now, so I'm always be here in Canada. But would I go back to Vancouver or Toronto? I'll go back to Vancouver. I should go back to Toronto because a lot of women showed me love when I was in Toronto the last time. Uh, but the thing about Toronto, when you want to go out and have a good time, like there's that racial element at the nightclubs over there. It's heavily prevalent. Where a motherfucker, you could be dressed nice, a motherfucker will tell you, "Oh, no runners." Damn, I got lush. I'm La Chateau from head to toe, but since I got some Air Maxes on, oh, no runners. So I don't like that part. Where it's like Vancouver, they didn't do that to me. So am I going back to Vancouver? Absolutely. Soon. But if you just talking about Asia, the very, very top of my list, I mean, I definitely want to go back to Korea, but like Korea got fine Korean women and foreign women, right? Black women are fine in Korea. they like it's the women are just fine in Korea, but they got that element where they don't let foreigners into a lot of clubs over there. I like to travel to Asia with somebody, and I wanted to do that with my ex, but I just couldn't continue on in that relationship. It's just, my plans were to do that with her, but I'm like, I could not continue being in that relationship anymore. So, unfortunately, no. But so I'm not even really dealing with American women anymore. Hell, the most recent American chick I was talking to, she was a Cali chick living in the H, and like she could have lose a few pounds. Yellow bone with the wet hair, the golden wet hair. She could have lost a few pounds. She didn't have any tattoos or nothing like that. She was cute, but her voice was like kind of. I didn't like her voice, and she was a little bit too old for my liking, and it made sense why she had no kids, and like her ex. And it's a thing with a lot of black women, like the dusty ex. I'm like, you being from Cali, you probably dated some gangbangers. No, I'm not into that. I'm a nerdy chick that likes anime. I'm like, okay, so how long you been in Houston? I've been here this many years. All right, so your ex, uh, your ex, he won a street dude. He won a Pookie or Ray Ray. No, but he for whatever reason he did like robbing people, and I didn't know about that until later on in the relationship. So when did you break up with him? I broke up with him as soon as I found out about that. And when did you find out about that? The second year in the relationship. So for 2 years, you didn't know this motherfucker was robbing people. There was no clues, no nothing. No. So I had to stop talking to her. Like, no, I'm not, no, no. Same shit that we try to get away from in America. It's like just talking to them and asking about the past. It pisses me off. It frustrates me to even listen to that shit in America. So, when you're looking for a traveling partner, right? Like you trying to look for a girl in America, somebody to travel with, and then it's just like it's nothing but dusty shit in their background. It's like, man, fuck trying to look for a traveling, female homie or whatever from America. It's just like, man, so it looks like I'm going to Asia again by myself, but not anytime soon. The next trip is Turkey, and a trip after that is back to Panama. All right. I mess with Panama. Why do I mess with Panama? I'll probably explain that in the Patreon, but I don't see myself going back to I will go back to Asia, but just definitely not this year. Definitely not this year. Mm. J Bone says I can low key see myself retiring there. People are so low key and calm, peaceful, good. Yeah, I can retire in Taiwan, right? But see, the thing is, I know where to go. I know where to go. Um, Even when I lived in Damshui, like everybody was nice to me. Everybody was nice. It was only like places where I worked where, like the first job at American Eagle, nobody Taiwanese pissed me off there. One chick tried to be one chick that I didn't directly deal with was like she was only there like on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and she was like part of management, and she was there in like the late afternoons. She'd be screaming at the kids and shit like that, and then she tried to say something slick to me or whatever, and I went off on her. Then she got scared and left me alone from then on. But other than that, um, the the Taiwanese workers at American Eagle, they didn't piss me off. It was that it was that that British manager that I didn't like. Right, me and him was around about the same age. He was just very disorganized. Right, and I told him to his face. I was just like, because I don't want to. That's a long story, but just disorganized, and then how forgetful he was. You tell somebody in advance what you got to do with your visa or vacations or whatever. This motherfucker forgets, and then make it seem like you just left, and then he wants to write you up, and it's like, motherfucker, I'm not signing that shit. And I have a message, and we talked about it, and I confirmed in my phone. It's still in my phone. The messages that you have, or whatever that I sent you, and the email that I sent you about when I was going to handle my visa shit. So, you know, when they tried to renew my contract, I told them no, I'm not renewing my contract because I'm moving to Taipei and I'm going to make more money over there. And even if I wasn't, I wouldn't renew my contract because I'm like, I don't fucking like you. You have a very punchable face and you're a shitty manager. and he couldn't believe I said that. But so it wasn't the Taiwanese staff. They didn't piss me off. It was that one manager, right? Um, and he didn't piss me off all the time. It was just certain things that that really rubbed me the wrong way there. The second spot that I went to, uh, this was in Taipei. Management was, I'm not gonna say like it was the dumbass parents that was breathing down the owners' necks, and then the owners was like trying to figure out what can we do for it to be better, and this is that and the third, and they don't really stand as firm, and since they're not like a Western credited, um like a chain school, it's like a mom and pop school. It's like that's all they had. Whereas like a chain school, they're not gonna pay you as much, but they stand up for their teachers. Whereas like a mom and pop, they just want to appease the parents because they're Taiwanese. And since they're Taiwanese and the parents are Taiwanese, the Taiwanese parents are gonna go, they're gonna go harder on the owners because they're Taiwanese. Where it's like if it's like an American or British owned company, like the parents gonna watch what they say because it's like fuck. Like if I want my kids to learn English, I better just bite the bullet and let them do what they do, right? Because you know, or I could send them to a Taiwanese school. See, most parents, if they got the money, they rather send it to an American school, an American language center, so that they can and then bite the bullet and go by their program. Whereas like a Taiwanese language center, you'll get paid more over there, but since they're Taiwanese, the parents are going to give them more shit. They're going to give the owners more shit. That's free game right there, right? So it's best to just take the lower pay and go with the American school, right? And be comfortable there, right? And deal with more respectful kids than to go to some school where it's owned by Taiwanese people. Because the parents are going to give them more shit, and then they're not going to know what to do. And if the parents are getting shit, they're going to try to give you shit. And I would be like, "Fuck you" every single time, right? And then if you leave in the middle of the semester, it's like because of all the drama and shit, by law they have to pay you out your contract, right? By law they have to pay you out your contract, then find somebody else. And it's hard to find somebody else mid semester because Taiwan, they go through hiring seasons. It's not like they hiring all the time like some of these other countries. um, but okay, why did I? Oh, I'm talking about who pissed me off, and then once and then at the other places where it was owned by Taiwanese, right? You get paid a lot, but after a while they piss you off. So the only people that pissed me off were like people Taiwanese people that you do business with, right? So, but if you're going there to visit, you're only dealing with people on the street, and everybody's pretty friendly. Um, I didn't feel the urge to want or you didn't have to be placed in a position where you got to defend yourself in Taiwan. It was just everybody was just friendly. I didn't really get shitty service like that anywhere I went. I didn't. I can't recall. Everywhere I went, everybody was pretty friendly. Besides who I had to deal with at work, So even the places I live, like everybody was cool for the most part. So yeah, it's a very laid back, chill place. The only thing is like when I was there, that's when China started, shooting missiles over the island, making threats to Taiwan to take it over, like they did to Hong Kong. But that simmered down after I left. So yeah, yeah. Salute to J Bones. Hit the like button. Thank you. Nah, I'm too young for that. I was thinking Malaysia might be more tame, but BGC is also looking nice. What's BGC? BGC. What's BGC? I don't know what BGC is. Like I said, great minds think alike. As soon as I touch down, and after a few days, Taipei, great place to retire. Yeah. For me, like if man, there's something else I want to say. I don't want to say it here, but if I was, you know what? I'm not even gonna mention it. But um, I'll talk about it on. I'll talk more about it on Patreon. There's something I want to say, but I'll talk more about it on Patreon. But yeah, if I had to retire anywhere, I'd retire in Shinju. Well, I would retire in Jubei, the north side of Shinju, right? So Taipei is nice, right? But shit, like Jubei, man, they had like this East Indian restaurant I used to go to that I really liked. The gym was really nice. I love the World Gym, right? They had condos that I liked. You know, there's Costco and Shinju. They have really, really nice parks. Man, like I used to go to Jubei on the north side, one of the 7-Elevens, and just like, either I was hanging out with a little chick or like if I'm on the phone just talking, I would just be walking and then get some food, eat, and just be talking, chilling, relaxing. And it'd be like 1 o'clock in the morning, right? And nobody would bother me. The cops won't stop and pull you over and ask you for your passport. Never got asked for my passport in Taiwan. They just real chill and laid back. So yeah. Um man. I miss that place a lot. I miss it. I really, really do miss it. But it's just that when you travel over there by yourself, it's like since you've seen and done everything, it's like, what do I do now that I'm over here? It's like what besides like going to the clubs because Friday and Saturday, it's just Friday and Saturday, but like the other clubs are like what Frank's where I used to go to on the weekdays. So it's like, what do I do? Not what's that one strip called? Um, what's that strip called? I forgot. Hey, help me remember. What's the name of that strip in Taipei? Everybody goes to, and it's all those restaurants and Ximending, right? Like Ximending was cool, but it's not like it's not like Dotonbori in Osaka. They try to make it like a Dotonbori, but it's not. So it's like you can only go there, but so much, and it's like okay, whatever, right? But girls go over there. But like I said, the girls look kind of man. The girls are like man. Every time I went there with my Eswatini chick, like she was the baddest chick there. You know, so I'm like, but Taiwan is a great place to go to like when you bring your girl, you got to bring your girl there, right? You got to bring it. You can't just go by yourself, right? You just can't. You'll get bored. You either have to live there or you have to bring somebody with you. Yeah, Taiwan's so small, so easy to explore the whole damn. Yeah, yeah, it is. Oh, BGC is in Manila. I'm gonna be honest with you, Ronald Taylor. I'll never go to the Philippines. I'm never going over there. Fuck the Philippines. Um, nah, I'll never go over there. I never want to go over to the Philippines. To hell with the Philippines. Yeah, I'm cool on the Philippines. I'm cool. You know, are the girls better to hook up with over there than Taiwan? Yes, but yeah, I'm cool on the Philippines. Uh, like if I'm gonna pay all that much, if I'm gonna take time out of my busy schedule, pay that much money to go someplace, I want to go someplace fly. You know, I can't do anything kind of. See, Thailand is the like the king out of all those little developed countries over there. You see what I'm saying? Like between Thailand, Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, Thailand is number one for all that, right? And it's like I don't see myself even. At least I don't want to even see myself even going back over there ever, right? So if I don't want to go back over there, why would I want to go back to, well, or not go back, but why would I want to go to its little brothers, right? It's just, I'm cool. No. And the way things are going right now is like I'd rather just go someplace closer, like Panama, you know, because ain't as much all that racial shit. It's not. It's not. It's not like that. And I'm not saying it's like there's definitely colorism in Latin America, like Panama. But man, I didn't. It ain't nowhere near like Asia. You know, Panama. It's like you visiting your distant cousins. You know, like seeing a black man is not out the norm. There's black people in Panama, and the women are fine, right? You know, bodies are right, and the crazy thing about it, the majority of women that I met in Panama were black. Only met one woman in Panama that wasn't like black, you know, just a mulatto, you know, a Latina, a lighter skin, not Africoid looking, but, you know, a white Latina, right? Only out of all the women I met, only one of them was like a white Latina. The other ones were all black and fine as shit. I'm here in Thailand. Why you don't want to come back? Man, fuck Thailand. It's too far. Um, the bitches are crazy. They're racist. right? The mom and pop spots, they feed ass, they feed ass and shit on a plate, right? The food is always questionable. I mean, you can still pay, for a bad bitch over there, but it's like, no, I'm not getting on a plane to fly 24 hours to that. I'd rather get on a plane and fly 3.5 hours to something better, something with ass and titties. All right. Pause. But the only people who got ass and titties in Thailand are the men. Pause. Right. And you know why? Well, I can go to Panama and get ass and titties on natural born women. They got the bodies we like. And I'm learning Spanish. Oh, I didn't know you've been there for 4 years. I didn't know you've been there that long. I never knew that about you, Happy Stage. So you out to go teach in China? I think you should go visit first. I don't know what the climate is like in China now, especially for an American. Right. I remember a few years back, they were trying to shut down the language teaching industry throughout China. And, you know, so I would go visit first. And you Americans. So I don't know what the temperature's like over there right now. Paying is old fast when you had genuine. I don't, that's not a complete sentence. Yeah, China sooner back. You got to go visit first and test the climate, test the waters first. If I was you, Happy Station, I will go to Taiwan. See, this whole video right here is for you. I will go to Taiwan, work in Shinju because that's where the smartest kids are. They're not. They're the least stressful to deal with in Shinju, and take Chinese courses on the side, master in the Chinese language, and just start your business that way. Don't just go to Taiwan. I can knock down that student loan debt. I hear you. But if I was you, I would go to Taiwan. The last two streams are for you. Now you're gonna get a bad chick in China. You definitely see in China, you definitely gonna get a bad man, let me tell you. Them women are sexy as fuck in China. I'm not even the shit you see on TV, that don't mean nothing. The women there's a lot of sexy women in China. All right, there's a lot of cute women in China. They don't look as good in Taiwan. Taiwan is just see between China and Taiwan. China, you're gonna go through a lot of racism over there. But if the teaching industry is still good, then you're gonna get a bag in China. You're just gonna go through a lot of people shitting on you before you get that bag. Now, Taiwan, the bag isn't as big. I mean, you can still get a bag in Taiwan, but the people are more civilized, stress free. You'll be much happier living in Taiwan. It's just that the women is a little bit more difficult. That the women don't look as good as the ones in mainland China, and it's you know it, it takes a lot more effort to find a woman in Taiwan than in China. China was like, you know, I got called handsome all the time by women wherever I went. Basically, what they mean is like you don't have the strong African features. That's what they mean. But shit, like it's healthier being in Taiwan and in China, I would say the food is better, somewhat better in Taiwan, and then riding, the bike trails and the gyms and the parks. It's a healthier lifestyle, healthier living in Taiwan than in China. When I was in Beijing, I couldn't find a gym to save my life. And the gym that they did show me, it was one of the shittiest gyms I've ever seen in my life. I mean, all that shit had rust on it. The bench, like the bench was falling off. You do a bench press, you fall off. You fall off on the side because it's not bolted to the frame. Oh, the gyms were horrible over there in Beijing. But in Taiwan, the gyms were immaculate. The nicest gym I've been to was World Gym in Jubei in Hsinchu, Taiwan. One of the nicest gyms I've ever been to. One of my favorite gyms I've ever been to in life, in the world. And I've been to a lot of gyms. That was my favorite gym I've been to. So now in China, see, that's what I'm saying. Like China, see, Taiwan, you should, you know, enjoy the environment there. So, like, when you get pissed off at people in China, you could be like, hey, look, I'll just start my own business. I know Chinese, let me just start my own business. Or in Taiwan, it's like, well, in China, if you go China first, like, because when you have that skill to go to China knowing Chinese, knowing Mandarin, oh man, it's like the opportunities are endless, with the entrepreneurship. The opportunities are endless. You can literally, because right now on TikTok, they're like the factories over there are exposing, how much all that shit to buy, like the authentic warehouses that used to make authentic clothing for the brands in America. They came out on TikTok and spilled all the beans about that shit. But I mean, we've known that for decades, how it costs next to nothing to make that shit in China because they're just there to mass produce it. But now it's like they're saying, hey, you could buy directly from us. Man, you can literally go to any one of those companies in China, right? Any one of those warehouses, buy them shit yourself, start up your own website and sell it to people in America and have your own import export business. Import and exporting in China is big business. All right. You can literally do that. He says, okay, I'm gonna learn Mandarin. I think it's best you go to Taiwan and go to Hsinchu, Hsinchu, right? Take some courses, or like take courses over there. Go to the university, take courses over there, learn Mandarin. Like that's one of the biggest things I regret is not learning Mandarin. Then after 3-4 years, once you mastered Mandarin, then go to mainland China. And then, I mean, oh my God. You an American in China and you know Chinese and you can read it too. Oh my God. Fuck teaching English. You don't need to teach English. You know how much shit you can get into in China? Hell, you could join the American Chambers of Commerce and get a 6-figure paying job. Oh my God. Don't even get me started. I like the exposing them brands. Black men been talking about that for decades and people just now noticing. But shit, like I'm not even into those brands like that. You know what I'm saying? But I get it. But people on TikTok talking about it as if, hey man, did you hear? So they've been fucking over people for the longest. I'm like, you idiot. Were you born yesterday? We've been on it for decades. Some people are like Captain Obvious on TikTok just to make content, right? Just to put themselves in the algorithm. No, it's HSINCHU. Hold on, let me type it. So go to Hsinchu, Taiwan. All right. Let me post this up. Go to Hsinchu, Taiwan. Go here. All right. And there's a neighborhood here in Hsinchu called Jubei. Jubei in Hsinchu, Taiwan. Go to Jubei. There's a neighborhood called Jubei, Zhubei. That's where you want to look for an apartment. And you could also look for a job over there. Now the university is on the south side, but I'm pretty sure there's a whole bunch of like mom and pop language centers that teach Chinese all throughout Taiwan and in Jubei as well, in Hsinchu, right? And then like if you go to the university is like on the south side because all right, so Hsinchu is split in half, right? There's a north side, there's a south side. In between there, it's like not it is a river, but it's not. It's a place. It's a spot where it's supposed to be a river there, but it's all dried up, so it's nothing but grass. So there's no water, right? But there's Jubei, and then there's like the south side. There's Hsinchu, right? Even though Jubei is Hsinchu, but Jubei is the north side of Hsinchu, Hsinchu south side of, but the city is split in half. There's a north side, there's a south side. It's split in half by a bridge. There's bridges that go across back and forth, right? The north side has all the really, really nice condos and the nice gyms, right? The nice schools, the nice neighborhoods, you name it. The south side has the mall, Costco, and there's like a bunch of houses and little ponds that people fish at and shit like that. All right. You can pick whichever one, it don't matter, but um, I advise you to move on to the north side in Jubei, right? Go to Jubei. Really, really nice. Now, find a school. The hiring seasons are all right. So the hiring seasons is August. It's like start in July. You can start now actually because they have summer camp. So they need people for summer camp, right? And if they like you, they'll keep you. You don't need really they want people with a degree. You don't need a TEFL course, but it's good to have it. They just want that degree because it's for the visa. Um, it's real quick getting a visa in Taiwan. That's the difference. See, it's very, very easy and quick getting a visa in Taiwan. The whole process is very, very quick. Whereas in Thailand, it takes months. It takes like 6 months to get a visa, to get your work permit, right? Whereas like Taiwan, it takes like a week or two. It takes like 10 days to get your work permit. And every time I went to the every time I went to whatchamacallit, uh, uh um the embassy or whatever, I was always in and out within like 15 minutes. Whereas like Thailand, it's no, if you don't get there like 4 o'clock in the morning, like, let's say you get there right when it opens, they're probably not going to see you that day because there's so many people. So you could get there at 8 and you're going to be there till like 5. And they'll be like, hey, well, sorry, we can't get to you today. Come back tomorrow. Jubei North side, Jubei Shinju, Taiwan, schools, gyms. South side equals mall, move to the north side. Hiring season. No, all right, yeah. So no, all right. So hiring season is gonna be like you can start now, like between April and June, because they have summer camp, right? They need people for summer camp. All right. And then hiring season starts up again July, August for the actual school year. So July, August, the contract you sign is going to be for a year, right? It's going to be for a year. Actually, the school year, because it'll be from August to May. It won't be August to August. It'll be from August to May. And then in May, they decide whether they want to renew your contract or not. All right. If you try to quit in the middle of a semester, then it's like it's yeah, you know, it's gonna be tough looking for someplace else. Not gonna be impossible, but it's gonna be tough. I can direct you to some schools, some language centers in Shinju, but one of them I know they'll definitely hire you, but they pay like 45,000 Taiwan dollars a month. And in the grand scheme of things, that's kind of low. But Shinju, they're gonna pay you even less because it's not as expensive to live as like Taipei. So, this one school, it's American owned. The kids are really, really good. It's not as stressful because the parents aren't like tripping or whatever. But it's kind of you don't take the work home with you, but it's a lot of work you have to do at school because it's a cram school. So Taiwan is cram school, so they cram everything in a short amount of time. You're not working from 7 to 4 like you are in Thailand. Taiwan, I would work for like 12 to 4, like about 6 hours, 4 to 6 hours. Some days 4 hours, some days 6 hours, right? So I never worked more than 6 hours in a day, and I wasn't even teaching the entire time for the 6 hours. I was doing other things, right? But so your work week is like your work week. See, Taipei, that's where the bag is, right? Taipei, you can make 80,000 Taiwan dollars a month, but the people who are going to pay you that more than likely that 80,000 Taiwan dollars is going to come with a lot of stress. It's going to come with a lot of bullshit. Whereas, like in Shinju, man, it's like once you get in the rhythm at this one school, it's called American Eagle. Once you get into the rhythm at this one school, then it's a piece of cake. The only thing that you might not like is like you have to do school plays. There's like a Christmas play that you have to do. There's like activities you have to do, but they take that Christmas play very, very seriously. They take that Christmas play seriously. So it's that's the only thing, you know. I met one guy, he actually had a degree and he taught at an actual school, right? No, I take that back. I take that back. If you have a degree, you can work at a language center. But in order to work at an actual school, you have to have like a teacher's license. You have to get a license in Taiwan. And one guy was talking about how he liked that he didn't have to like deal with parents like that, and he didn't have to do school plays, but he ended up quitting the school job and went full time with the language center. For why, I don't know. So I guess it wasn't as great as what he mentioned, but um, I don't know what it's like getting a teacher's license teaching at a school, but if you just have a degree, you can only teach at a language center. If you have a license, you can teach at um like you could teach at a school, a high school, but I don't think you have to go through the license process in Taiwan. If you have one from America, then they'll hire you as like a teacher at a high school in Taiwan. But yeah, definitely go to Taiwan and then learn Mandarin over there. You know. Well, in my opinion, yeah. So there's all right. So there's in Shinju, there's Giraffe. There's Giraffe Learning Center. There's ABC Learning Center. There's American Eagle, American Eagle, Giraffe, and ABC. No. I take that back. Scratch that. There's American Eagle Learning Center. That's the one I worked at. Then there's Sesame Street Learning Center. Then there's Giraffe Learning Center. And then there's a whole bunch of other language centers in between. And then there's like kindergartens you could teach at. Um, I knew some people because the language centers are after school programs. So in the mornings, you're not doing anything. In the mornings, there's no work for you in the mornings at these language centers. So I knew people, they would teach at kindergartens from like 9 to 12, right? Or 9 to 11 in the mornings. And then they would teach at after school language centers, cram schools from 12 to 6, right? So they're called cram schools. And they was making good money doing that, right? So if I could do it all over again, kindergarten from 9 to 12, cram school from 12 to 6, and then maybe a Chinese language center that you learn Chinese at from like 6 to 9, and tell them to prep you for like those Chinese tests. It's kind of like the IO test or whatever that people take for English. There's something like that for Chinese. If you can get that certificate, then you're golden, right? You're golden. Yeah, Sesame Street Learning Center. That's just three. There's a lot more there, but those are the ones I remember. Those are the ones I can remember off the top of my head. Then there's like Happy Miriam. I don't know if Happy Miriam's in Shinju. I know it's in Taipei. Then there's so many like cram schools, but I just I can't I just don't remember some of them. Uh and where did they advertise? Oh, they advertise on Facebook heavy, right? So when you get to Shinju, you can all right. So now You can apply at like American Eagle, Giraffe, Sesame Street now, right? But they advertise on Facebook. So Facebook is where you find a Taiwanese language center job, right? Facebook is where you can find the Taiwanese. You can find apartments and everything there. There's like, as far as the apartment in Jubei, I would look. I think it's called. Is it 501 or 509 or something like that? You could just Google um rental properties or whatever, and in Shinju, they have a map. You can zone in Jubei, right? And you know, but all the job postings are really on Facebook. Yeah, they're all on Facebook. Facebook is like your best friend in Taiwan. Um, but but if you want to get in easily and be taken care of, but some of the work, but the pay isn't going to be the highest you'll make there, but it's enough to get you by, right? Um, American Eagle, definitely American Eagle, right? So I worked at American Eagle in, damn, what's that? What's that area? I worked at the American Eagle closest to Costco. Was it by Costco? I worked at the American Eagle that's like on the southeast side of, I forget the name of that area where I lived at, of Shinju, not too far from Costco. And when I worked there, it was like brand new, but the kids were real good there. Um, so because all those kids are their parents work at Science Park, right? They work in Science Park, so they work in tech. Their parents, so they have to know English to work in Science Park. So they already speak English to their kids. It's just that they don't. It's like they're not a native speaker, so that's why they put them in school, right? But all right, man. Like I got to get back to um, my studies here. I'm picking up a second language myself. So man, I'm glad you guys tuned in with me. It's a long live, but go back and listen to the first part as far as women in Taiwan. Happy Station. Are you in your 20s, your 30s, or your 40s? Like, how old are you? 'Cause I was saying, as far as Taiwan, you know, I would say obviously single women over 25 in Taiwan are kind of crazy and just, you know, somewhat sort of difficult to deal with. They don't start becoming somewhat easier to deal with until they're like 34, right? 31, they still kind of rebellious, but they coming around. But 34, that's when they're easier to deal with, right? That's when they kind of just like fuck it. But it's kind of an over the hill woman in Asia, right? Like I said, you take college courses, the women in your class, 33. All right, so you perfect, right? You're perfect age going in Taiwan. That's a perfect age because you in that age range where you can still get the 22-year-olds and you can still get the 30-year-olds and you can still get the 35-year-olds. But trust me, you're gonna see that, you know, the easiest women to kind of deal with, they either gonna be in college, but that's kind of gonna somewhat sort of be a little secretive, right? They gonna be in college or they gonna be like mid-30s. I was 28 last time we spoke. I don't remember the last time we spoke. I could have sworn we spoke a couple weeks ago. I could have sworn we spoke a couple weeks ago. Well, this is an imposter, right? But I would not go to China until you learn Chinese because China, you go to China and you don't know Chinese. I remember a few years back, they pretty much shut down a lot of the language centers over there. Like the language center industry had like took a dive, like it just shut down. I don't know if it revamped or whatever, but in case if it came back, I don't know. But in case that happens again, you're good if you know Chinese. You know, you're not good if you don't know Chinese. So don't waste your time. Don't waste your time in China unless you know Chinese, right? Taiwan, you can be an English teacher and then start to learn Chinese. But it's very, 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 very important that you, if you go to Taiwan, you learn the Chinese language. Like take that shit seriously. It's not gonna be that quick. It's gonna take you some years. It's going to take some years. It's going to take time. It's going to take like 2.5, 3 years. Right? It's a hard language to learn, but if you can master that language, then your opportunities are endless. Man, you can. Them parents in China, they don't care if you black. Like, oh damn, you speak Chinese? Yes. Oh shit. Damn. Blackie. I don't want to pay Blackie, but Blackie speaks my language. He can explain things to my kid. All right, fuck it. You know, people will kind of give their kids to you, they'll pay you private, and then like you could start your own business, you could teach out of school. Man, there was so many things I was doing in China, it wasn't even funny. You could start your own business over there. You could open up your own school, you could start your own business, you can import, export. There's endless opportunities over there, and it makes it a lot smoother if you know Chinese, if you can read and speak Chinese. So don't even waste your time just going to China to get a job and you don't know Chinese, especially now. Look, we're at odds right now with China. You think being an American is going to be the best thing going for you, and you don't know Chinese in China? Don't do that to yourself. Do not do that. So go to Taiwan. Now, I remember the other city. It was called Taichung, Taichung. I've been there once, but I don't know what it's like in Taichung. I only know what it's like in Hsinchu and Taipei, New Taipei City. Taoyuan, I've been there a few times. I even taught at a kindergarten there a couple of times in Taoyuan. But I, you know, and I used to go to um, like an outlet mall quite often in Taoyuan, and the airport's in Taoyuan. But I don't really know Taoyuan like that. But I used to go there. But like Taichung, Kaohsiung, I don't know Taichung and Kaohsiung like that. All right, I know Kaohsiung is cheaper, but Kaohsiung, like it's kind of raggedy. Like the city is kind of raggedy in Kaohsiung. Right? It's just like, yeah. Taichung seems clean and nice. I've never really kicked it in Taichung like that, but I don't know what it's like. But every time I saw jobs on Facebook for the posting, I would see definitely a lot in Taipei and New Taipei City. And then Shinju would be like you see the most jobs in Taipei and New Taipei City, then Taoyuan, then Shinju, right? You're not gonna see as many listings in Shinju like that. And the thing about it is walk-ins, they don't really work. You kind of have to go by the posting. They only work during hiring season. Right. But over by that university on the south side of Shinju, there's like a little it's like right across from the university. There's like this like little strip where there's like, a lot of shops, and there's like an electronic store, so you can definitely get your computer, I like TVs and mouse and keyboards and gaming chairs and stuff like that. And then it's the road that leads to the mall, but it's right across from the it's right across from the university, right? But so I really really like Taiwan, and I'll definitely go back one day. But anyways, I don't want to bore you guys to death. I've been on here long enough. You guys take care. I'm over and I'm out. Have a good night. I will. I'll do a live. What's today? Today is Monday. I'll do a live I'll do a live on Friday. So I'll see you guys on Friday. Peace.